manufactured in-house down in South Carolina. All the steel that is used for the filters and gutter system is made here in the USA too. Just to let you know that as well. And one other note, we can do $200,000 jobs. Okay, one of the pools that we're doing right now that we designed, and there's 3 or 4 pools that are in that facility, and that's for Virginia Tech University. $3.5 million job. We got the job to design, to manufacture the equipment, and to build the pools. So we can do small, right up to whatever you guys want. So we're here to help. I'm always around. We've got a cell phone number. Anybody can always call me. Don't text me that.
The other thing that I asked for too, and I had this meeting, you see some of these features in here, these spray features, and I have some booklets, and I contacted Natural Structures out of Oregon, which I have a good relationship with one of the owners out there and with the sales rep. I said to him, this is an important project, as well as with Mark. We sat down in my office on a phone conference. The first thing I said to Mark when he came to the door is, Mark, this is what I want you to do. When we figure out what this community wants, I want you to spec out the equipment. I want you to give me my cost, and I want you to pass it to the community. I'm not marking up any of the equipment from him, which a lot of contractors do. There's all this any spray features.
All contractors are going to mark up everything 30 to 40%, sometimes more, and that sort of thing. My first thing when I walk in the door today, he starts telling me about this. He says, "No, well, Mark, I want them to buy the equipment from you guys." Well, he's trying to save you money already. So just something to think about as well. Because when it goes, if it's not negotiated and it does have to go for bid and that sort of thing, back on money. So just something to think about too.
Same thing with the spray features, any type of outside shelters, natural structures. We can deal directly with them through the town, through the community. Again, we're here to help, not hinder. This is a more rewarding process. Yeah, our company, we're going to make a profit on the job. Do we need to make an extended profit? No, this is more rewarding for us to come down and do this. People call us. When you do something good, it always comes back to you. The Pittsfield pool, obviously, Kevin got in touch with them. We did a great job with them, made it work for them. That's why I'm here right now. If we'd gone up there and just not taken our time and not really helped those people out, I wouldn't be standing here, and Mark wouldn't be standing here. But we're the company to come in. We've been here for 40 years building gunite pools. We actually started, the owner's son with me. He's going to be the 3rd generation, but his grandfather started digging the pools by hand 40 years ago. And in 40 years' time now, we've grown into 3 locations. We've built over 4,000 gunite pools around the country. We've actually built some for former presidents. We've consulted over in India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, all over the world to come to us. So we have the capability of the people in there. I've been doing this for over 20 years. We've got supervisors that have been there for 35 years. So our team there is ready to come in here, do whatever we need to do for the community, for the council, take a look at them with paddock pools and make this happen.
Part of the reason we invited Chris and Mark up was because they worked on the Pittsfield pool. So that's $500,000 for the pool in Pittsfield, Maine. Community project, and they talked about families being involved in demolition work, but in raising the money and making it happen. I think we all know how challenging it would be to do 9 pools with volunteer labor. I think that is not what Save Our Pools is advocating for. Save Our Pools is advocating for a community involvement process that we figure out where we can get community involved, where we can get community buy-in, where we can minimize future vandalism because kids worked on it themselves. And we need to find ways to do that, and if we do, then we can do 9 pools. And so that is the neighborhood model is to look at smaller size pools using that $7.5 million that the city manager has announced to do 5 pools at $1 million each, and then the others. And going back to some of the earlier sites, Gray's talking about repair work. So certainly some of these bathhouses could be repaired. $26,000 is what the consultant said to repair the bathhouse fully, ADA compliant, everything at South Worcester. So if it's $26,000 to fix the bathhouse at South Worcester, any money that would have gone into other things could be going towards the pools. So these are our real numbers, taking the aquatics plan that the city's already released and the other reports, and trying to find a way to to work them over, to massage them so that we can get to 9 pools.
We're going to hold questions till the end. Just, I know some of this is exciting. It's exciting to me, and we can hold it till the end. That'll be cool. I also, just one thing that I just really wanted to point out was one of the questions Chris and I had this morning actually was about prevailing wage. We talked about, in Massachusetts, we believe in paying people fairly. We have a prevailing wage issue. That's different than it is in Maine, right? So I asked what it was going to add to the Pittsfield, Maine cost, right? And what we discussed was that probably the Pittsfield, Maine cost, if it was $500,000, and because of volunteer labor, it actually didn't even cost that community that much. But if it was $500,000 in value, you add in prevailing wage, it's going to be something like $650K or $700K, right? And that's really important because what that conversation, and it was a much longer conversation than that, but what that conversation said to me was that $1 million actually has cushion room, and that it is a very reasonable number, and that it's a number that brings us to something like what we have now. Better than what we have now in the sense that it'd be ADA compliant, better than what we have now in the sense that it would be more fun, but a neighborhood-sized model, not a ginormous model, for lack of a better word. So that's just what I wanted to clear up. My task, for those who don't know me, my name is Chestney. I'm from Save Our Pools. My task was to talk about this 9 Pools task force that a lot of folks in Save Our Pools have been talking about, that we've talked about with counselors, that we've talked about with members of the administration. For me, a 9 Pools task force is really important. It's a process that includes the city administration, city councilors, community members, folks like Save Our Pools, members of the business community, and institutional partners around the table that sees the process from start to finish. And I also want to say what a task force is not. A functional working task force is not a magic bullet, okay? It's not just something we can pull out and say, oh, well, the task force will take care of that. So one of the things that a task force needs in order to be functional is it needs to see the process from start to finish. So this isn't a 6 extra pools task force. This isn't a 4 extra pools task force. This is a 9 pools task force. Why is it important to see the process from start to finish? The reason that it's important goes back to the first bullet point on our first slide. It goes back to this neighborhood size model. I'm not going to lie, times are kind of hard right now. We've got financial difficulties. We don't have anywhere near the financial difficulties that Pittsfield, Maine had. That was a community that was really dealing with some stuff in terms of poverty and unemployment. We are dealing with that in Worcester. But it's been possible in communities where things have been really hard. That said, it would be great to have 9 $2 million pools, but I'm willing to be realistic and say we probably can't afford that right now. Probably what we want right now is a neighborhood-sized model. If we go with the neighborhood-sized model, it might be possible to get to 9. If we go with the Shine Pool model, probably not. So the neighborhood-sized model is necessary for a task force to even be functional. I've heard it said, for example, oh, let's do 3 Shine Pools and the task force, we'll fundraise and see if we can get to the rest. It's not realistic. Nobody's fooled for a second. It ain't going to happen. We got to start with a neighborhood-sized model, and we got to work together from start to finish. So that, for me, is what a 9 Pools task force is. Another thing I want to say about a 9 Pools task force is it's a chance to get creative. And the folks have touched on this, so I'm not going to touch on it too heavily. But at the June 3rd presentation, Weston and Sampson showed us a lot of very beautiful pictures, but it was the same cookie-cutter Shine Pool model for all 3 pools. It may be that when a task force gets together, we decide that one pool in one neighborhood looks somewhat different from another pool in another neighborhood, that they're all the same basic model, but that this one has this add-on, this one has this add-on, that they're a little bit mixed up. May also be that we look at different pools in different neighborhoods and we say, okay, this one really needs this particular structure totally new. This one over here is doing pretty good. We can probably get away with $26,000 in repairs. I think that was the South Worcester pool that was demonstrated on that sheet. So a task force allows us to get creative. And what does creativity mean? It's not just for fun, it's saving money and accomplishing our goals, is concretely what it means. What we would recommend for a task force to be successful is that the city start the task